What's up, guys? It's KB. Make sure you subscribe to the Underground Sports Philadelphia YouTube channel. Click the bell icon down below so you don't miss a single video from us. And thanks for tuning in to another video from Underground Sports Philadelphia. Now let's get into it.
Philadelphia, baby, you're going to love it. Best sports fans in the world. Actually, the worst, but that's what makes them the best.
What is going on, OTB Nation? Welcome into episode number 260 of the official Lacrosse podcast, number 9 NCAA ranked, allegedly award nominated, viewable on YouTube, Outside the Box podcast. It's KB and Deej coming at you during Underground Anniversary Week. We just celebrated 5 years of Underground Sports Philadelphia, which is absolutely insane. And this year, in December, it'll be 5 years of OTB. So we'll be able to celebrate that this coming December, which will be a ton of fun. Probably work on getting old Harry the K and Dom on the pod for that. Maybe we'll do a little anniversary there. Maybe Brooke and Alex as well. But yeah, 5 years of Underground Sports Philadelphia. Before we get into the business stuff, all that good stuff that you guys know we touch on. But 5 years of this thing is crazy. Just a brainchild that myself, Matt Castorina, my brother-in-law, Dom, the original co-host of OTB, and Dylan Mazzola just met up and said, hey, let's, just take to the internet and create sports content for fans, by fans, for Philadelphia. And then we branched out and have created a lacrosse hotspot to be one of the more successful projects we've done. And 5 years later, we have 6 extremely successful spin-off podcasts on top of the main show. And, we have more content on the way in 2023. And it's just crazy to, sit back and really, look at where we were 5 years ago, even with this show, and where we've come. And just, remembering that my first experience with lacrosse was the NLL draft in 2018, and I was 2 feet away from Trevor Baptiste at the time, and now he's, the homie. It's crazy. And the support that you guys dish out every single week across the board, whether it's on the main pod, this show, streamer season, getting the whole top bins, and any other content that we put out there. It never goes unnoticed. It's super appreciated. And Deej, I'm sure you feel the same way when we go out on the road and we get recognized from time to time. It's yo, and it's all right, this is a little weird. But
beyond weird. It's exactly who I am. That's wild. Yeah. Obviously, I know people know who I am. I'm doing this on a decently large scale. But to have guys of that stature, I'm not going to name drop right now. I'm not. But to, have guys of a certain stature, walk up to me or see me walking by and say something to me first, that means a lot. And it's huge. Definitely off. Is he really talking to me? That's kind of just the inside feeling. It's damn, he's really talking to me.
It's are you talking to little old me?
He can't be talking to me, not me. Me?
Yo.
No.
It is crazy. Make sure you guys go check out the anniversary video too. We put that out every February 7th. This year's pretty fun. There's a lot of fun stuff from OTB in there. A bunch of our interviews that we did, which made me look, and I was wow, we did not do a lot of interviews this past year. So we're working on adjusting that a little bit. But before we dive into everything we got on the show tonight, make sure you guys follow us at OTB Laxpod, Twitter, Instagram. Follow Deej on Twitter at SCS_NextGreat. Follow me at KBIZZL311. That's both on the Twitter machine. Make sure you subscribe to the podcast feed, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts. We are there. Leave a 5-star rating and review on Apple. It really does help the show grow, helps us, get recognized more, helps more people find it through the algorithm. So leave a 5-star review. We will read them if you leave them. So leave them there. And then subscribe to the Underground Sports Philadelphia YouTube channel. That's where you get full video episodes of OTB every single week. You get interviews, original content, OTB cast live streams, which I'm thinking maybe like the month of March might have one, maybe towards, something fun there. We'll figure something out. A little tease there, maybe. Just game planning our life schedules and everything around it all to make sure we can do it. But go subscribe to the YouTube channel, youtube.com/@undergroundsportsphiladelphia. We're at 378 subscribers. Get us to 400 before Big Game Sunday. That's the goal. 22 more subscribers. Be a friend, tell a friend. Smash that like button, ring the bell icon, and comment down below your thoughts, your questions, all that good stuff that Deej and I cover on tonight's episode. And make sure you guys go get your merch from our amazing merch partners at PHI Apparel Company. They're the official merch home for Underground Sports Philadelphia as a whole. We also have Big Game shirt out. Mine is on the way, which I'm very excited about. It's one of the coolest shirts across the board that I think I've ever had a part in designing. So go get that and go get your OTB merch. We got the logo shirt. We got the OTB hoodie. So go get that. Go to phiapparel.co. Use code underground for 10% off any and all merch. Wear it to your favorite NLL game. Wear it on the road this summer when you're going to a PLL weekend. Wear it to your college games. We want to see college kids wearing the OTB merch. That's going to be the fun stuff. If you're a college kid and you're wearing OTB, take a selfie when you're at your game, all that good stuff. We want to see where you're rocking your merch from across the nation. So go to phiapparel.co, use code underground for 10% off any and all merch from our amazing merch partners at PHI Apparel Company. What's going on, Deej?
Man, we're here. I missed so much lacrosse last weekend working. So I did a lot of catch up, a lot of, watching later and on demand and all that. But it's not the same, especially missing opening weekend for college. It's just, it doesn't hit the same. So that sucked. But like I said, I did get to watch it throughout the week. So that made work better. Having a game on and just playing that kind of thing. So, and also got a backpack back on. Glad to be back in front where I belong in our standings.
Did you pass me?
I did by one game. I had a decent week last week after having 2 very, very good weeks. So I'm liking where I am. I feel like I'm getting back into my groove in that stance point. So I've been kind of on the uppity up this week after feeling down on the weekend.
All right, now I got to really focus in on the picks this week. Let's get into the Week 10 recap because we got a lot to go over from the week that was. A wild week in the NLL. Yeah. It's brought to you by our friends over at Bino Board. Guys, we love Bino. DJ and I bring the Bino board on the road every single summer. We're out covering the PLL. We got it here in the studio. It is the next big tabletop game for your man cave, your she shed. I'm telling you, this is like the next big tailgate, extravaganza piece. They're going to be part of our live tailgate parking lot podcast this summer for the main pod. They're based out of Phoenix, Arizona, right near where the big game is happening. And they are going to be the next big tabletop game. And they kind of already are. They're doing the damn thing. Bino is a game and lifestyle brand, like I said, based in Phoenix, Arizona, and their goal is to provide the highest quality boards and a true brand experience. Every part of their boards has been tested time and time again for the best possible playability so that every Flicker's experience is a positive one. Bring the world together with Bino and hear someone's story from the other side of the pitch. Our listeners can use code BINOUSP for 10% off any order at binoboard.com. That includes any of the officially licensed Liverpool and Arsenal boards if they are still in stock. That includes custom boards. That includes any accessories for your boards, merch that they have. You can use our code BINOUSP. It's BINHOUSP for 10% off at binoboard.com. So last week in the NLL, these were the final scores we had. It was the Colorado Mammoth topping the Georgia Swarm 13-10. Calgary gets a massive win in overtime in Halifax, 12-11. The Toronto Rock, what a game, 22-14 win over the New York Riptide. The Philadelphia Wings, looking great in all three phases, win 13-5. And at one point, I thought we were on record watch, and then it kind of slipped away at the end. We were for a hot minute. Going into the fourth quarter, like 2 minutes into the fourth quarter, the Wings were tied for the least amount of goals surrendered in a single NLL game. Happened twice. I asked our good friend Teddy Jenner on Twitter. I was like, "What's the record? I just have to know." It's happened twice. It happened in 1998 and in 2015. One was a playoff game too, and the Wings were on the wrong end of it. And then it happened in 2015 with the Toronto Rock preventing a team from scoring more than 2 goals. But nonetheless, 5 goals surrendered in a game is pretty ludicrous in today's NLL. The Buffalo Bandits topped the Rochester Nighthawks 13-10. San Diego beats Panther City 12-10. Saskatchewan beats Vancouver 14-8. And the Las Vegas Desert Dogs get their second win in franchise history and top the Colorado Mammoth 13-8. Biggest takeaways for me this weekend, Calgary coming away with an overtime win on the road is massive. Huge win for them in an inter-conference matchup there. The Wings, being there in person, looked the best they have all season long in all three facets. A stat correction this week gave Trevor Baptiste another face-off win. I don't know if you saw that. Trevor now in that game perfect at the stripe, went 22 of 22 due to that stat correction. San Diego and Panther City being as close as it was kind of shocking. At least scoreboard-wise, I didn't get a chance to watch that game. But 12-10, like scoreboard-wise, that's kind of way closer than I think you and I expected that to be. I think if you would have asked us a score prediction last week, we probably would have said it would have been like a 4 or 5 goal win for San Diego. At least I would have said they would have won by 4. Week? San Diego played Panther City in San Diego. They won 12-10.
Didn't Panther City just trade for someone, though? Callum Crawford, right?
Callum, but he was on the short-term holdout list. So he did not play.
He still hasn't played, right?
He played 1 game for them, I think. I could be wrong, but I'm pretty sure he played 1 game. And I mean, Buffalo gets the job done, like you predicted. In a close one, 13-10. And I think, even in a loss for Rochester, that's still promising for them, that they're keeping it within 3. Because last year, I think we can both agree, that game in Buffalo's winning by like 8. So
insane. They would have blown them out. Crazy.
Philly, with me being at the game, just to give a first-hand look, Mitch Jones was an instant game changer in so many facets. That dude, it's been a while since I've seen Mitch play in person. It's been since January of 2020 when he was with Vancouver and they came here during LaxCon weekend. But we've been fans of Mitch forever. Like, Mitch is a friend of the program. But seeing him just like operate and kind of be, and Paul Day mentioned this in his post-game press conference too. They needed someone to kind of be the quarterback on the left side during the power play. And that's exactly what Mitch was in this game. It kind of let Joe Resiteritz go back to just being a scorer, and that's what the Wings brought him here to do, was to score. And he looked so much more comfortable out there with Mitch, and like Mitch being able to find him in close proximity and just let Joe like fucking rip the way that he did was unreal. I think it took a lot, even though Rambo didn't have a big game, I think it took a lot of pressure off Matt to kind of be like the pure like assist machine for this team. It let Matt kind of just be like a little bit more like stress free, which was nice. Blaze looked amazing again. Like, I think you can put anybody in a situation with Blaze, no matter what type of experience level they have with him, and Blaze is just gonna like still be that dude. And it's unreal watching him play with anybody. Ben McIntosh was great in this one as well, and I think like just the acquisition of Mitch Jones was such a morale booster for this team, because Joe Resiteritz said it in his post-game press conference. Like, they felt like they were like missing that type of piece, and to go and get, you know, at that talent level that Mitch Jones is, was unreal. Mitch was great in his post-game press conference too. It was great to see him. He's going to be a dynamic difference maker for this Wings offense. He was getting back on defense as well and playing well. And that's the thing too, like, I liken it, you know, for anybody that's listening, like our Philadelphia audience, like Mitch reminded me in this game in particular, like of how like AJ Brown plays wide receiver. Like AJ Brown's like physical and will like go out, make blocks and everything. He'll catch the ball, but like kind of play like a defensive wide receiver as well, if that makes sense for everybody listening. Mitch just like uses his full body, and it's truly like hang it in the Louvre type of performance watching him play. I think he's going to be such a huge, like, we're going to look back on this season, especially if the Wings like progress further than they did last year. Like if they make the playoffs and they win a round, I think we're going to look at Mitch Jones being acquired at this point in the season and be like, that was the catalyst for the Wings getting their season back on track.
I mean, I would have to 100% agree. We've talked about like the defense looking okay, Higgins doing his job, the Wings being in close games, but the offense kind of just dying out in the second and fourth quarters and not having enough. Obviously wasn't the issue last weekend. Not going to attribute it, you know, solely to Mitch Jones, but you know, switching things up, and it does a lot for a team. And, you know, depending on how that guy comes in, that definitely can be a big part in that, and how guys accept him and how they feel moving forward, what kind of attitude they play with, that kind of thing. So his addition to the team definitely helped a lot with that, but I think it was just a natural mood shift that, you know, happens within a team.
I think it just alleviated stress.
Especially during a trade, you know. So the idea of a trade is to just let go. So I think that's kind of what guys did in this scenario. They truly just let go.
They look super loose too. Like watching them in their last two games against Toronto and Buffalo, and then watching them against Albany, they just look super loose and like looked like a new sense of like they were given a new sense of life for this season. What I have to say about Albany, though, seeing them in person, number one, they missed the boy, Joe Nardella. My God. Like, we know how talented Trevor is. We've known this since he came into the league, since he was at Denver. Like, he's that dude. Trevor was working Albany at the stripe. And, I mean, the stat sheet proves he went perfect. But, like, just the way Trevor was able to just, like, assert his dominance at the stripe in this game was crazy. Resulted in so many possessions for the Wings that I think if Joe is there, the Wings don't get as many. But, dude, I gotta say, their offense is rough. Like, I was talking with some people after the game, and we were just, like, looking at final scores and stuff like that. And, like, we obviously, like, know New York, like, shifted their focus kind of this season. It's going to kind of be like, let's see what happens the rest of the way. But we kind of, put some investment in the future. I think Georgia's got to do something. Like, if Georgia doesn't get a win this week, I'm going to be like, okay, it's time to maybe, shift some things around and blow some stuff up.
You don't already feel that way?
I mean, I do, but I think if it happens this weekend, like because they play this weekend. Yes, they play at home against Toronto, which we already know. Spoiler for picks. I'm picking Toronto. But if Georgia loses this week and falls to, they'll be 0-6 if they lose. Fair. They're going to be a team that needs to start blowing it up because
I think they should just blow it up already.
No answers. Vancouver's already blown it up. Like, I'm not going to be shocked when more guys get traded out of there.
Yep.
Albany, I think, is in that same boat. Like, they tried to do the Buffalo thing where let's go get the water dogs and, pair them up together and everything. Doesn't always work.
Right.
It might work in field. Doesn't always translate to box. It was great to see the boy Kieran, though. And I don't know. Like, Albany's offense was just so, stagnant's not the word, but they just had no, there's no way to describe how, bad their offense was. And I don't know if that was a product of just the Wings defense playing their best game of the year, and Higgy looking fantastic. But their offense, dude, if you were there to watch it in person, you as a coach, you would have been like, what the fuck is going on? Because they're all, individually, I think we can both say they're super talented with guys like Kieran, Connor Kelly, Ethan Walker. They have talent on that offense. But I don't know what is not translating for them in the box game together. But I'm very much in the camp, and I apologize because I know we have a listenership in Albany. I'm very much in the camp of Albany blowing it up and just starting fresh. Yeah. Trade off the pieces that have value and hit the reset button.
Not going to give them a chance to get their shit together?
I don't know if there is an opportunity. With the East being what it is, with Buffalo, Rochester, and Rochester being a surprise this season, where they are right now, Toronto, Halifax, and, the Wings are a half game behind Halifax just because of games played. Those 5 teams you can see on paper, and you have seen glimpses, from teams like Halifax and Philly where, they're playoff teams. You could see them making the playoffs. I do not see Albany making the playoffs. They do not look like a playoff team whatsoever. So if I'm them, I'm considering any and all options to potentially make your future more beneficial than what your now is going to be. Shout out to Calgary, man. Shout out to Calgary.
Again,
I saw that final score happen when I was in the press box at the Wells Fargo Center. I couldn't even be mad because that's an impressive-ass win for the Roughnecks.
It was. I was watching the tail end of that game, and when they scored the one to tie it, I was like, no fucking way.
Mm-hmm.
That was really all I could say was no fucking way. They're just that kind of team, though. They do this over and over and over again. They play in these tight games, and they win them. They're, kind of not exactly the same, but, they kind of live on the edge, sort of to what the Whipsnakes did in the summer, kind of just doing just enough to win games. It's like they get off on the thrill of being in games this close. But I'm all for it. It's exciting. It's what people want to see. It's fun. You win some, you lose some. This one I lost. I'm okay with that. Because it was a phenomenal game, and you know, it, Zach Currier, Hayden Dixon, and all those guys are, they're showing that. Sure, Jesse King and Dane Dobie left, but that doesn't mean
Well,
that there
Jesse's
aren't
still there.
still.
Curtis Dixon.
Or sorry, yeah, wow, we got one guy left, as people are saying, but
They got
that's
guys.
not realistic. We got 3, 4, 5 guys here that are ready to ball, and you're gonna have to see it. So,
And you have one of the best goalies in the league who's got like 12 assists.
I mean, I didn't even have to talk about him because everybody knows how I feel about my guy. So,
Great performance by them. They're now 4-3, tied with the Mammoth for third place in the West. Both of those teams only half a game behind Saskatchewan for second place. I mean, Toronto putting up a 22-piece. Golly, man. They're just good. Like, there's no way to like dice it up other than like they are good. And like we talked about this earlier this year, like they do that weird thing where they start off 0-2, sometimes 0-3, and then they just go on a fucking run. And that's what they're doing right now. They're on a 6-game winning streak, tied for second place with Rochester for second in the East. They're just good. They're gonna bully on the weaker teams, and they just have the talent to do it across the board in all 3 phases. And I don't think it would shock either of us if at the end of the year Toronto is the top seed in the East.
not at all.
If you told us
now that Rochester's lost,
if you told us right now, like if somebody went into the future and saw either of those 3 teams right now that only have 2 losses, if Buffalo, Rochester, Toronto end up being the 1 seed in the East, we'd be like,
can't say
yeah,
you're wrong.
That makes sense.
Yep, cannot say you're wrong.
So wild week 10.
Shout out Vegas. That was my only thing.
Yeah.
They came through for me at the end of the week. I had a good feeling about it though, with Colorado playing back to back and all that. I felt good.
I did see a stat from our boy Hutton Jackson that he tweeted out that I have saved because this is gonna come in handy, and I'm gonna share it with you, even though you're ahead of me in picks. This is gonna come in handy for us for down the stretch with picks. This is for teams that have played like back to back weekends and everything.
Mm-hmm.
So teams facing a fresh team in their second game of the weekend are 5-13 straight up and 4-14 against the spread since 2021.
Damn.
It's like relatively like new data. And so far this season, teams on short rest are 1-3 outright and against the spread.
Damn.
So remember that when you're making your own picks, and if you're gambling, gamble responsibly.
Man, they gonna get you.
But that's gonna come in handy for our picks. I can tell you that right now. If we see anybody playing back-to-backs against another team that's not on a back-to-back. The Colorado, like the boy Jack Hanna sock trick. Are we kidding?
Crazy.
Can we just give him the Rookie of the Year now? Like,
I think he had 3 assists too to give him 9 points on the day.
he had 2, so he had 8 points. But still, led the game in points. Landon Kells was phenomenal in this one. Connor Kirst had a really good game. Loose balls wise, he had 9. He and Robert Hope both had 9. I think just the biggest takeaway from this game was that, like, Colorado's offense just looks slow, if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
Like, they were just, like, their feet looked like they weighed 2 tons. They were just moving slow. Their shot selection was not all too great. And it felt like it was one of those games where they were just like relying on. They were trying to rely on like one or two guys to get everything done, and can't do that. Especially when you're on a back-to-back, you want to like spread it around, get everybody involved and try to do your damn thing. But props to Jack Hanna and the dogs,
Big dogs,
for getting it done. Yeah, that was week 10. Which brings us to DJ's State of the Fandom. And it's brought to you by our friends over at Tomahawk Shades, the best small batch eyewear in the game. Guys, DJ and I are staring at screens all freaking day. All day long, whether it's our phones, computer screens, TV screens, and our eyeballs, they can hurt. When you're watching your favorite lacrosse team do that damn thing, you should be rocking your Tomahawk Shades Blue Light Plus glasses. You guys can go to tomahawkshades.com, check out all the selection that they have for their blue light glasses. They also have sunglasses, obviously, but they also have prescription lenses as well now. So if you need a prescription, you can get prescription lenses from our friends at Tomahawk Shades. And they're already an affordable price than those other big company price gougers that are out there. But we're going to get you an even more affordable price because when you go to tomahawkshades.com and use code USP at checkout, you get 25% off your order from our friends at Tomahawk Shades. That's code USP for 25% off at tomahawkshades.com. Deej, your State of the Fandom. 2 teams already out of the running, being the Vancouver Warriors and the Georgia Swarm. Did Week 10 do anything to shake up the fandom a bit?
Not yet. I think we're doing okay as far as teams hanging in there. Nobody's made any drastic moves. Nobody's made me upset. Nobody's looked too bad. I do credit a lot of Albany to Joe, but that also scares me. So they're kind of on the chopping block because, like, I don't want to ever be reliant as a fan on one player that can totally tip the entire trajectory of my team. I get losing a star player, but normally, you're able to corral that production from a group of people at some point and make that up until they get back. But in this scenario, there's no group of face-off guys to replace John Ardella. So that's a little scary. But other than that, everything's kind of just the same. There wasn't anything too special other than maybe I'll just bite the bullet and be a Desert Dogs fan.
Moving on up.
They're definitely moving up.
So there it is. That is DJ's State of the Fandom for Week 10 going into Week 11, which brings us to the Week 10 OTB Awards, which, DJ, I was thinking, obviously we want to talk about the OTB Awards because we want to give our props and our flowers to our dudes every single week. But, it feels like since we record going into a new week, we're late to the party, letting everybody know. So my thought is we're going to change this. This will be the last OTB Awards segment on the pod. And we're going to turn this into like graphics or like a social media video or something early in the week where DJ and I will plot and scheme off pod. Be like, yo, what you thinking about these awards? And then we put it out for the people going into a new week, so it's out there. And then we can just give props to the guys, talk about the stuff we put out there and everything. So I think that's the move going into the second half of the season.
I like that idea a lot. I think that's perfect for us. Gets more traction on the socials and all that kind of jazz. Maybe we get more interaction on socials between players and all that too. So I like it.
So the OTB Awards brought to you by our friends at Trophy Smack. Guys, there's no better way to upgrade your fantasy smack talk than with our friends at Trophy Smack. They've got belts. They've got rings. They've got trophies, obviously. They've got last place awards as well, like the golden toilet seat. You guys, I'm sure you're in a fantasy lacrosse league, probably with your friends, your people. Get an award for it. Spice it up. Make it worth something. you want to play for something. You always want to have a reward at the end of something that you're doing. So go to trophysmack.com/underground and upgrade your fantasy smack talk today. That's trophysmack.com/underground. Trophy Smack. Upgrade your fantasy smack talk. Deej, the OTB awards this week. I was putting all my bias aside, but I think a trend we have stuck to this season is if you give up the least amount of goals in a weekend, you kind of get the goalie of the week award. I think it's got to go to the Tendy Bears, Zach Higgins.
I'm okay with that.
Giving up only 5 goals.
He probably had his best game of the year. So
yeah, and he's been fantastic this year too. Like,
just don't expect to see that again.
Yeah, five in this day and age in the NLL is like 2 back in the day. But I need more people to start putting respect on Higgy's name. He's been fantastic this entire year. Can't do it all. You as a defenseman know that as well. The goalie can't do it all. You got to have the defense in front of you as well. And the Wings defense stepped up big time this week in front of him, and he was phenomenal. So Higgy takes home the Week 10 goalie award. On the offensive side of things, Deej, I think we got to take a look. I mean, we already gave away the Rookie of the Week. Jack Hanna getting a sock trick. It's a no-brainer. The boy he's just almost every single week, unless somebody goes ballistic, you can almost guarantee Jack Hanna is going to be the Rookie of the Week.
Yeah, seriously, because dude's insane.
He's good. Panther City shouldn't have let him go. I think we got to take a look though for offensive performance. We got to take a look at what happened in Toronto. 22 goals. You look at the box score here. We look at the numbies. Tom Schreiber had 15 points this week.
Oh my God.
Had a hat trick and 12 assists.
Do we have to?
I think it's safe to say Captain America takes home Offensive Player of the Week. 12 assists in this economy, along with 6 loose balls.
It's just ludicrous.
That's crazy. Shout out to Tom Schreiber. Gets the job done. And I think honorable mention has to go to Jeff Teat. In a game where the Riptide scored 14, he had 12 points.
Yep.
And also shout out to the boy Corey Small. 5 goals in this game for the boy. 1 goal short of a sock trick of his own. Just an overall insane game. And then on the defensive side of things, take a look here. I do want to just take a look at what the Wings' stats were defensively, because watching them in person was the best I've seen them play all year as a collective unit. And let me see here. And I mean, I know he's technically classified as transition. I think we got to give Trev some flowers this week. 23 loose balls for winning 23 faceoffs. Did take a shot on goal too. Just looking at the rest of the defense here for the Wings. Wow, shout out Ryan Wagner. 11 loose balls for Wags this week. And then Chad Tutton definitely, I think, in my opinion, had his best game as a wing as well. 7 loose balls, 1 block shot, 2 caused turnovers, and an assist. Phenomenal game from Tuts. Any other games we should look at defensively, or should we just give the nod to the boy for getting it done at the stripe?
Yeah, I'm okay with that because, I mean, 1, he went 100%. You don't really see that often. And 2, like, there wasn't anything I saw defensively this weekend that popped out at me in terms of other games. And that's more on a whole team scale. Like, there wasn't any team that made me be like, oh, they played really, really good defense this weekend to make me think about someone else.
Only other one I could say is Kyle Rubish. He had 11 loose balls, scored a goal, had one blocked shot, and one caused turnover. So, as a traditional defenseman, we'll go Rubish, and then also give Travis Flowers for going perfect at the stripe.
That works for me.
So it's Jack Hanna, it's Tom Schreiber, it's Kyle Rubish, Trevor Baptiste, and Zach Higgins for your OTB award winners for Week 10. And you guys know how the OTB awards will be going down from here on out. But let's move on to our Week 11 preview, Deej, as we've got 6 games on deck. If you're a Birds fan, you know you got the big game over there on Sunday. So we got 7 games technically here at this whole company. Wings on a bye, though, this week, which is nice. The Wings get to sit back and enjoy the big game. But we do have 2 games on Friday. Starts off 7:30 in Georgia. It's Toronto and Georgia. Then we have Saskatchewan and Calgary at 9 p.m. on Friday. And then Saturday, it's Halifax at Rochester, Albany at New York, Vancouver at Panther City, and Colorado at Calgary. So Calgary's got a doubleheader. Something to keep in mind. Both games, though, for Calgary at home. To me, I'm really looking forward to the Halifax-Rochester game. I think that's going to be a lot of fun. Obviously, the built-in, former Rochester Nighthawk lore there. Both teams are playing very well. Both offenses are dynamic. I'm also really looking forward to Saskatchewan and Calgary. That's always a fun rivalry game.
Oh, yeah.
In Calgary, it's going to be a ton of fun. And, I mean, there's a lot of positioning in the West lying on that game. So those are the 2 games I'm really looking at. Are they the same for you? Is there any other game you're kind of looking at this week to kind of keep an eye on?
I'm definitely looking at that Cal and Sask game just because, I mean, they always get at each other. So that one's going to be fun to watch for sure. Obviously, the back-to-back with Colorado and Calgary. Calgary's still a little butthurt about how their season ended last year. And then Halifax, Rochester, for the simple fact that they just played each other. And Rochester is they're in a tough spot now with 2 losses. And they're starting to get in that muddy scenario where they're mixing in with a few other teams that have 2 losses, 3 losses. Now they're not really in that safe territory anymore. They're starting to have teams breathing down their neck. So this is almost kind of must-win territory for Rochester. And Halifax, like you mentioned, is pretty much in that must-win territory because, we could see them as a playoff team, but right now they're technically not one. So that game's going to have a lot of energy in it. Maybe they might be.
No, you're right, because Calgary's 4. So, because of games played, Calgary would be in because they're 4-3, and Halifax 4-4. But Calgary has 2 games this weekend, so they'll even things out. I'm looking forward to just watching that trend as well that we mentioned earlier from Hutton about Calgary having the 2 games against fresh team on the second game. So that's going to be interesting to watch. And then Panther City, Vancouver, one of those mini rivalries, if you will, that was kind of spurned from last season where Panther City and Vancouver just always played each other super close. And now, no Mitch Jones again, obviously. No Logan Schuss. We'll see what happens with Vancouver. And, if it gets ugly, Vancouver keeps selling off pieces. What do they do moving forward? We'll see what happens there. And then Albany and New York, this is a big game for the Riptide. The Riptide right now at 1-6, if they can get a win at home against Albany, they're a half game behind Albany to kind of just keep moving up the standings a little bit and try to keep their season alive. I think this is a massive game. Kieran McCardle coming back home Riley O'Connor playing against his former team, so there's a lot of, emotion in this game. But even with two teams that are not great record-wise, I think it's an important game, so definitely keep an eye on it. And we'll see what happens there, but I think without any further ado, Deej, we go back to the pond.
Yes, sir.
And we feed the ducks, as it is time for our Week 11 Picks of the Week, powered by our friends over at Pickup. Guys, go play the hottest headlines in sports for the big game, the NLL, any sport out there at playpickup.com. You rack up points on your fan profiles, cash them in for prizes on the Pickup Marketplace. That's playpickup.com. Deej, we start things off in Georgia. The winless Georgia Swarm hosting the Toronto Rock. We already spoiled this pick. You guys already know we're going with Toronto in a battle. Yep. This is an OTB Cup game. Both teams don't follow us. So we'll see what happens there. But we're both going Toronto. So moving on to one of the more fun games of the weekend. It's Saskatchewan at Calgary, 9 p.m. Eastern time on Friday. How do you see this one playing out, Teach?
I like Calgary. That was tough.
This one is tough. This might be the most difficult of the weekend in my book. I don't know. Something's screaming Saskatchewan to me. They're on a roll right now. They're playing just really good lacrosse, and not that Calgary's not, but Saskatchewan's playing really complete team lacrosse. Shout out to Alex Bouquet for a hell of a post-game interview this past week as well. I'm gonna go Saskatchewan this week. I really like the rush in this game. I don't know why. I just looking at this game, I love both of these teams this year too. It's just one of those things I looked at and said, Saskatchewan. I don't know if it's the green, but I just like the way they're playing. And defensively, I like the way they're playing. Rubish has been phenomenal going back there, so give me the rush. Then we move to Saturday's slate. We got Halifax at Rochester, 7 p.m. Eastern time. This is like the 1A of difficulty to pick in my book. Rochester let me down last week, unfortunately. I'm not mad, just disappointed. I don't know why. It's just so tough to come to terms of trying to pick against a team with Connor Fields right now. But Halifax is playing unbelievable lacrosse. They're coming off a tough overtime loss. They're going back on the road. I think this game might be the closest of the weekend, if I had to put a thumb on that one. But in the spirit of the big game, I gotta say, go Birds. I'm going Halifax.
Holy fuck. It's funny because I know exactly what I was going to pick.
It came to me in a dream.
This is the Calgary. No.
Halifax and Rochester.
Halifax, yeah. Shit. I'm going Rochester. Like I mentioned earlier, they're kind of in that have-to-win mode after starting so hot. This is kind of like that game where they look themselves in the mirror and they're like, if we don't win now, we're in trouble.
It wouldn't shock me if they win this game.
So I'm gonna go Rochester.
Next up on the slate, it's 7:30 Eastern Time. New York hosts Albany. After seeing Albany last week,
Give
they
it to my
are
boys.
a mess. I'm going Riptide.
Give it to the boys.
So both going New York.
Crazy as this might sound, I think the trade to give up Callum definitely for the better of the Riptide.
Agreed. It's like strangely opened their offense up more.
Yes.
And has allowed the connection that I think you and I have been craving of Jeff Teat and Larson Sundown to.
Oh my God.
Like
Larson's just like a different player. He just connects with the whole team. It's crazy. He just sits in his office back there.
Like when Larson and Teat connect, whether it's either one of them scoring or assisting, I just need the bonk dog to just hit me because
they got a nice little triangle going with Riley O'Connor too. They're definitely making it work.
And then like you just have the big bruiser of Connor Kiernan up the middle that can, rush and crash the net. So give us the Riptide. Shout out Vance Joy. I think this next one we can both say. We're both picking Panther City to beat Vancouver. No brainer there. Moving on to the final game of the weekend, 9 p.m. Eastern Time as well. That Vancouver Panther City game is at 8 p.m. Eastern Time for people who want to watch. But 9 p.m. Eastern Time, Calgary, Colorado. Calgary on the second half of their back-to-back at home. I wonder what that stat is that we read off earlier with Hutton for teams that were playing at home for both games. I wonder how that plays into it. I'll have to ask Hutton if he knows that info or not.
Yeah, that's good.
Not that I think it like shifts too much, but I'm just curious, like if there is a difference, like if you're at home for both or if you're on the road for both or 1-1. Colorado and Calgary.
Colorado.
Yeah, I think I have to go Colorado. Just based off of Hutton's statistic there. I don't want to get burned, but something tells me I'm going to get burned and Calgary's going to win by like a gazillion. Because it's going to be like, oh, we're going with the data pick. And then the data's going to be like, yeah, fuck you guys. You haven't ever gone with me. So I'm going to go Colorado as well. But we'll see what happens with that one. And we'll keep an eye on the data. So those are our picks of the week. We're both going Toronto. We have two flip-flop games. You're going Calgary. I'm going Saskatchewan. I'm going Halifax. You're going Rochester. We're both going with the Riptide. We're both going Panther City. And we're both going Colorado. And those are our Week 11 NLL picks of the week brought to you by the homies over at Pickup. Deej, cue the Sports Center music. Brian Holman, named head coach and GM of Cannons Lacrosse Club this week. Father of one and only Marcus Holman. Was an assistant coach with UNC when they won the national title in 2016. Was the first head coach of Utah Lacrosse ever. And he's now coming to the PLL as the head coach of the Cannons, replacing our good friend, Coach Quirk, who stepped down earlier this off-season. Shocking was my first reaction to this. Not that it's shocking that Coach Holman is now in the PLL, but I don't know if anybody was pegging this to be the hire for Cannons. What was your initial reaction to TLN kind of getting the scoop and then next day, boom, it happens?
It was kind of just kind of how I felt when Quirk stepped down. It was kind of just abrupt. I was like, oh, all right. There was no rumblings about who they were talking to, who they were thinking about. It was just all of a sudden, this is it. I love that. Like, I don't care about all the rumblings and stuff. That kind of ruins things. Like the rawness of how things happen in the PLL is kind of dope. But I think it's a great move. But it was surprising. Um, I thought maybe he didn't want to come up to this level, and that was the reason why he hadn't already been here and that kind of thing. But now I'm excited to see what he's going to do with his team.
And we knew Cannons were going to have to make a move to hire a new coach / GM because obviously PLL free agency opens up on March 6th, so we're less than a month away from free agency absurdities. We might have to call off work that day because it's going to be nuts.
The same thing like this NBA trade deadline.
Woo-wee. Coach Holman did have a statement on the PLL website, as did Paul Rabel. So Paul's statement is, Coach Holman's decades of coaching and playing experience have earned him the respect of players and coaches across the country. Building the Cannons Lacrosse Club back to the prominence is Coach Holman's mission, and I look forward to seeing him bring that same passion and success he brought to UNC, Hopkins, and Utah to the PLL. And Coach Holman says that he's incredibly grateful for the opportunity to lead the Cannons Lacrosse Club. After coaching at every level for the past 30-plus years, it's a dream come true to coach and compete at the highest level of our sport. He goes on to say thank you to Seth Tierney, Rachel DeCecco, Andrew Manning, Mike Rabel, Paul Rabel, and the players for choosing me. I cannot wait to get together with our team and compete for a PLL championship. Go Cannons. I think there's a lot of social media rumblings now that this hire's been made. The biggest one is somebody saying the bunk bed boys to Cannons in free agency, as both Will and Marcus are free agents when free agency opens, unless the Archers sign them to an extension. Will liked that tweet. So I don't know if Will is just, out there stirring up the controversies or if it's a thing. We were kind of texting about it this week and trying to figure out where, it would make sense for them to slide in and everything, with Lyle being there. Obviously is kind of the face of the squad, and then you have Asher Nolting. They just traded for Matt Kavanaugh, who Coach Quirk traded for, obviously, and they signed to a 1-year extension. So Cav is under contract through 2023. And then Ryan Drenner is also there through 2023, but he also kind of operated out of that box midfield spot a little bit last year, so we'll see what happens with all of it. But do you think it's possible? Anything's possible for sure, and especially when it's Marcus's dad. But do you think it's a feasible option for Cannons to go out and get the bunk bed boys to pair with Lyle?
Possibly. You're talking about maybe trading a few guys or releasing them to open up the space, but I don't see why it wouldn't be feasible, to be honest. It's just a matter of how much work he wants to put in on the GM side right away, pretty much. Because that's what it would take is some GM work on that point.
Yeah, and it is kind of crazy to think, if that is the case, the championship series is the last time we're going to see, any iteration of this Archers team. With Will, Marcus, Grant. And, we were talking, and I think it changes the complexion of the Archers and, what they've set out to do. Obviously, as a unit, with, from the beginning, it being Marcus, Will, Tom Schreiber, obviously, Scott Ratliff was part of that, just retired. And the Archers did sign Jared Connors to a 2-year extension, I believe, recently as well. So there's your Rat replacement, which has been years in the making now since Jared got drafted. But I don't know. And obviously Fieldsy's there. And you've talked to me about how you want to see Connor Fields be the guy. If Will and Marcus leave,
He have a little bit bigger role, but he's not the guy. But
right.
It'll be better for him, for sure.
I would say it bumps him up more to more of an attack role. Potentially. I should preface that. Because obviously Grant's going to be the guy, but I think it opens up an opportunity for Fieldsy to kind of be one of those dudes on a wing or something like that, if they so choose. And obviously they still have Ryan Ambler, Schreiber's still there, and they have guys on that roster, Matt Moore. So there's still plenty of options there, but it's going to be an interesting free agency. And like we don't even have a full list of free agents per se, because guys are still signing extensions and everything, and we'll see what happens. But I think Coach Holman getting hired is a huge thing for the PLL. It's huge for the Cannons. We're working on getting Coach Holman on the show, as we always do with any new head coach hire in the PLL. We try to get them on the show as soon as possible. I mean, Coach Holman's got his work cut out for him. I'll say that. This Cannons team has a lot of things to fix and, rework. And I was talking to somebody about this past weekend at the Wings game. Like, it's just tough, and I know it's tough for you because he's your guy. Just watching Lyle on these losing teams, like seeing his prime being like thrown away, is tough.
Yeah. Yep. But that's what
it's like 2007 LeBron.
That's what keeps the market open in those areas, though. They gotta have something to hang on to. So it's a double-edged sword.
It's like LeBron playing with Zydrunas Ilgauskas.
Hey, don't hate on Zydrunas.
Hey, I'm not. But he was like the best player LeBron had.
No, yeah. Zydrunas was my guy, but everybody else. Hey.
At least Lyle's got like 3 other dudes, but they got a lot of work to do on that team, and we'll see what happens with Coach Holman at the helm. Congrats to Coach Holman. Congrats to the Cannons. If you're a Cannons fan, comment on YouTube how you feel about the signing. But this brings us to our final segment, and it's brought to you by our friends over at Dubby Energy. It's one of our newest partners, and guys, Dubby, they're out there ready to change the game when it comes to energy, because they're going to war with big energy. You're probably wondering, guys, why are you talking about an energy drink? Energy drinks always have jitters and crash and all this stuff and blah, 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 blah. Well, no, Dubby's changing the game. They were tired of big energy favoring profit over quality and making energy drinks loaded with jitters, maltodextrin fillers, artificial colors and dyes, sugars, and other BS. Just take a peek at the nutrition labels on some of the energy drinks you guys are drinking right now, and you're probably like, holy crap, I never even looked at this. Dubby grew upset with those types of energy drinks and decided to wage war on big energy by releasing their own energy drinks, which are cleaner and jitter and crash free. Here's to paving the road for a better future for energy drinks, where the status quo is no longer profits over quality, where quality matters, and where energy drinks don't get a bad rap for being unhealthy and harmful to consume. We had our first tub come to the studio earlier this week, the Dragonade, which is dragon fruit and pink strawberry lemonade, which I've been drinking all show in my awesome monkey logo Dubby shaker. It's fantastic. Dom tried some during our anniversary pod. He was like blown away by how good it tasted. The starter packs are back in stock, by the way, DJ. I forget if I told you that, but the starter packs are back in stock, and they're super affordable. $14.49. You get a shaker and 2 test packets, which are the Dragonade and the Beach and Peach flavor, which is white peach and mango. But like, I'm not even joking, guys, when I say like this stuff tastes unbelievable. And typically, like, those big energy drinks have that weird aftertaste, and it's not good. This is phenomenal. And I found the hack for it. You put your water in your shaker. You put the Dubby in the shaker. You put ice in the shaker. Shake it up and everything, and then let it sit in the fridge for a little bit. Good night. It's delicious. I've been sipping on it all episode. If you're watching on YouTube, you'll have seen. And you guys can go to dubby.gg and use code underground, and you get 10% off any order all orders. Try the big energy tiers, which is the blue raspberry flavor, which I know Deej is a big blue flavor guy. You guys can get the Dragonade. You can get the Passion Joy tea, the Beach and Peach. Or if you're trying to cut back on the caffeine and you're just looking to stay hydrated and add a little flavor to it, they've got the Monkey Madness Hydro Hydration flavor, which is strawberry banana. And they've got awesome accessories, great shakers on there as well. And Deej, I know you're a big black and red guy as well. They got the Black Widow shaker, which is black shaker, red W logo. So go to w.gg, use code underground at checkout, and you get 10% off your order from our friends over at W. Go upgrade your energy consumption with our friends at W. College Lacrosse Week 1 in the books, Deej. We had a wild week of the college game. Everybody going bonkos on the timeline. Lay it out for the people. What were your thoughts on week 1 of 2023 college lacrosse?
Going to start with Navy. They're an interesting team, the way they're built. Not necessarily defensively heavy like they've been in the past. Kind of just more of a offensive squad this year. Xavier Arlene looks exactly like what everybody thought he was going to look like back on the lacrosse field. So that's pretty much the highlight there. But they started 2-0. No real complaints yet, but getting into conference play, they're going to want to get it together, to be honest. Duke being Duke, handling both Bellarmine and High Point with ease. 19-7, 20-8, I think it was, against High Point. Like it's too early in the year to really say anything about Duke, but their attack line of Dyson Williams, McAdory, and Brennan O'Neill is insane. They've literally just popped off to begin the year. And if they play like that all year, it's going to be hard to beat Duke. But then again, you look at Maryland, who has maybe the best defenseman in the country, and Brett Maker, and he's wearing number 1, and he looks damn good in it. Like, I don't know the last time I saw a defender wear number 1, but my God, I think more of them should, because he looks so good in it. 4 calls, turnovers, 5 GBs. Give it to me every single time. But then, you go over to the nightcap of Saturday and you look at John Hopkins, Jacksonville, and that was a great game. Don't know how I feel about the black helmets with John Hopkins. Me and Diggs, I have to talk about that at another time. But I thought this was a really good game. Very great energy between the two teams. And John Hopkins actually doesn't look too bad this year. But they obviously have a huge test on their hands with Maryland, but also Penn State, whose offense came alive. Granted, they played Lafayette, but 21 on the board. They were sharing the ball. They were moving it around. They didn't look terrible on the offensive end. Ohio State played Air Force, opened up their new stadium, got a win. They looked awful in their jerseys. I thought the white was way too plain. I liked the white on gray shorts, though. The new stadium did look good, as much as I don't want to say that. And I will say I'm hoping and praying I can make it to Columbus this year so I can go and see the new stadium. As much as I don't want to say that, it did look good. And they seemed to play off the vibes and had a great time taking care of Air Force. 15-7, no problem. Syracuse, Vermont, obviously was like one of the most anticipated games of the weekend. Total goalie fest, and I loved it. It was all about the goalies. They shut guys out left and right. Guys were on the TL going crazy about Joey Spallina.
Yeah, can we talk about this?
It's ridiculous.
It's not even a talking point. Like, it's one game.
Not only is it one game, he's a freshman. We are really expecting this man to come into his first game and drop fucking 6-3. No. He's a one freshman.
Game, and it's his first game. Like, can we that's the big thing too when it comes to college sports as a whole. They're kids. Relax. It's going to be fun. Like, I saw a certain account that's pretty big on the lacrosse Twitter space talking about like just letting Joey shoot and everything, but then like him not addressing the shooting and like shying away from it. It's like, bro, he's 18, 19. I don't know when his birthday is per se, but he's 18 or 19. Like, he's going to get his. We need to relax on just like the game one bashing of college kids. It's
100%.
going to be fine. Like, Joey's going to be fine. Shout out to Joey. He follows the pod. Pretty sure he's a listener of the show as well, as is Pops. So shout out to Joey. He's going to be fine. Like, and I'm going to put this out here now for the people, especially if Joey's listening. Like, Joey's got an open invite to come to the show.
Yes, sir.
So.
But yeah.
He'll get his.
Denver and Utah was also another highly anticipated matchup. Utah came out of the gates slow this year. Offensively, I thought their offense was going to have a little more firepower to it. They didn't look terrible last year. They were putting some things together, but only 4 in a game against Denver. That's not really what you're looking for.
Does Utah Lacrosse miss Coach Holman? 888. Let's go to the phones.
Screaming, dog. That's fucking hilarious. Because, I mean, that's what it looks like, right? But no, I mean, you got to give them time. They are adjusting without Coach Holman. They are, looking at that news. They are taking in a new atmosphere. There's so much going on with that team, so I don't want to.
Plus, Denver's on a mission this year. Like, Coach Tierney's retiring at the end of the year. Like, they are going to go 125% every single game.
There's a lot of circumstances around that game, so I don't want to throw Utah under the bus, but I was a little concerned with how they started the year. Rutgers coming out 20-8 against Marist. That's what we expect, low key, from them. So nothing too much there from me. Mary Mac.
Miss
Hofstra.
Mary Mac.
Hofstra and Holy Cross. They took care of both of them. They're chilling at 2-0 for the first time as a program. After they beat Hofstra, it was the first time they were 1-0 as a Division I program. And then they turned around a few days later, beat Holy Cross to, now be the first time they're 2-0 in the program. Holy Cross is 0-2, losing to Providence and Mary Mac. There's not a ton to be worried about, but I mean, it's Holy Cross. So, like, are we really paying a ton of attention to them? Not really. Not sorry. But like, yeah, that's all from last week. This week coming up, obviously.
Yeah, what are we looking forward to this week?
U Albany Syracuse tomorrow. Please give it to me every single time.
Is that at Syracuse?
At Syracuse, yes. At Syracuse. So I'm excited for that. Denver Air Force is always a good game. They're going to play. Marquette, Utah might be interesting. Marquette won 17-2 last week against Lindenwood. Put it on them. One, I'm just excited to see this jersey matchup. What combination is Marquette going to come out with? And I think whatever they do come out with is going to look fantastic against, the white, black, red, whatever it is that Utah wears. But also the game in that standpoint will be good. Army, West Point, UMass might be a sleeper game this weekend in all respects. That one will be fun. Maryland, Loyola is always an interesting game to watch. Georgetown, Hopkins, yes, please. Georgetown opening up the year. Tucker getting his first chance with Georgetown. Georgetown is looking low-key stacked. There's a lot of discourse about their offense and how it's literally the starting attack last year for UNC is their second midfield at Georgetown. Scary. They're definitely super stacked. So that's going to be fun to watch. Duke, Jacksonville. They were in a fire of a matchup last year, so I expect that to kind of bounce back as well. Can't say Mary Mac isn't on the list moving forward now. Kind of want to see how long they can keep their streak going. They're playing LIU, so they have definitely a good chance of winning again. And we're going to see Virginia in action this weekend as well, taking on my boys from up here, Michigan, and as much as I don't want to cry at the end of the night, I'm sure I will, because that's going to be one hell of a game. Penn State Villanova on Sunday. That's going to be fun to watch. Um, some interstate rivalry there is always good between them. North Carolina and Hopkins get at each other on Tuesday. Um, I'm gonna find a way to watch that on Valentine's Day. Yeah, if I miss the fire of the game, and then Marquette and Notre Dame as well. Wow, Notre Dame doesn't play until Wednesday the 15th for the first time, but I'm here for it, and they're playing Marquette, so that'll be exciting as well. That's pretty much the rundown for this upcoming weekend, and what's going to be good. Obviously, there's a bunch of other games on, a bunch of other, you know, Power Five or bigger lacrosse schools playing some of these smaller conference schools and kind of warming up, as we say. So very much still early season lacrosse, kind of just getting their feet wet, everybody getting really back into the groove, and we're seeing kind of what teams will be looking to throw out come conference time.
I do got to give a shout out to two programs for the swag drops this week. Number one, Lemoyne men's lacrosse, the Dolphins. Those black helmets are absolutely beautiful, stunning, gorgeous. They are clean. The green face mask, good night. Like, they are beautiful helmets. Beautiful. Absolutely love them. They're simple, but the splash of color on the face mask is done so well. Shout out to Lemoyne. Go Dolphins. Shout out to them. And then I also tweeted this one too. Shout out to Jerry, Pro Athletics, and the University of Florida Club Lacrosse. Everybody knows I'm not the biggest Port Olmesh guy, but those jerseys were some of the best I've seen in a very long time. The club lacrosse team for the Gators. So shout out to the Gators doing it right with their jerseys, and shout out to Jerry and Pro Athletics. No free shout outs, but shout out. I also wanted to put this out there because I saw everybody on the tweet machine. You got to hit up Michigan and be like, "What, yo coach?" Getting their swag bags and everything. I mean, I'm a free agent for what it's worth. I didn't go to a
No, you're
big
not.
school.
No, you're not. No, you're not. No, you're not. Because you don't even
Yeah.
watch. I'm not even gonna
Listen.
Nah. I'm not even gonna let
No.
some team. I'm not
Here's
gonna let some team walk themselves into this thinking they're getting a fan
here's
when
the thing.
they're getting
Let
some
me lay
guy
this out. Let me
that's
lay
just
this
gonna.
out. Can I finish for the people?
Sure.
I'm trying to cut a promo for this is trying to be the clip. Take two. I'm a free agent. Here's the thing with college sports and myself. I didn't go to a big college that had like a massive athletics program. I went to D3, not a big athletic school at all. So I didn't get that experience from college of enjoying the collegiate level of sports. That's for football. I never got into college football whatsoever. I only fell in love with college basketball because I love Jay Wright as a coach. But everything else, I was like, college never did anything for me. But for the betterment of the pod and just pure fun, I'm going on. I am open for recruiting, if you will. KB's recruitment tour. Colleges show me love. Show me why I should invest my time and invest my, lack of a better term, fandom. Invest, me watching your squad and why I should be a fan of your squad. I'm open to any and all pitches, ploys, bamboozlements. Talk to me. I'm open. It doesn't matter what level. It can be D1, D2, D3. But I am open for recruitment. KB's recruitment tour is officially underway. Let's
I
have
like
at
that.
it. Let's have at it.
Coach Connery, hit me up.
Hit the line.
Hit me up. I know y'all got some good gear. Holla at me. I'd love to don some amazing blue. I need some new lax stuff to wear. I'm tired of wearing my own college stuff. Go Bulldogs. Shit, speaking of, I'll see you soon, Nat. I will see you soon. 22nd, I'm pulling up. Go Bulldogs. And when we win, we're going to figure out what you got going on.
That made the anniversary video too.
but no, in all seriousness, I am looking forward to hopefully getting some swag from you, Coach Connery. But also, I'm trying to bring my boys out to a game this year. It's always fun. I normally go to a game. My college squad, Adrian, normally pops out to a game as well. It's a good time. The stadium is beautiful. It's better than that one down south. The stadium is beautiful. I love it, and yeah. So we'll be in contact at some point.
But here's my thing
you got
too.
Something good for me.
With my recruitment tour being officially open, shout out to Bussin' with the Boys, Tara Lewan and Will Compton. Will went to Nebraska. Taylor obviously went to Michigan. They have the Bussin' Bowl where Nebraska plays Michigan. That's the Bussin' Bowl. We have the OTB Bowl or OTB Cup or something. If I end up getting recruited by a team and they play Michigan, that's pure content. It opens up a whole new avenue.
It is.
So I'm open. And I think it would be hilarious, too, if I did like a decision day thing. Signed a letter of intent, had the hats on a table or something.
That's hilarious.
Like, that would be incredible. So, coaches across the country, I am open for recruitment. Hit my line, hit my Twitter. Let's make this happen. KB's recruitment tour is officially underway. That's all we got for you. That's a podcast right there. Make sure you guys are following us at OTB LaxPod, Twitter, Instagram. Follow Deej on Twitter at SCS_NextGreat. Follow me at KBIZZL311. Subscribe to the podcast feed, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, wherever the hell you get your podcasts. Leave a 5-star rating and review. Be a friend, tell a friend, share the pod with your people. And, of course, subscribe to the Underground Sports Philadelphia YouTube channel. That's where you get full video episodes of OTB. Hey, that's maybe where you get the KB recruitment tour. Just saying. You get OTB cast live streams, original content. It's all on our YouTube channel, youtube.com/@undergroundsportsphiladelphia. We're at 378 subscribers right now, I believe, as of this recording. I'm going to refresh. 378. Go subscribe. Trying to hit 400 before the big game on Sunday. So be a friend, tell a friend. Smash that like button. Ring the bell icon. Comment schools that should recruit me to be part of their squad as a fan. Get your merch as well. phiapparel.co. Use code underground. 10% off any and all merch orders. Get your OTB merch. It's the most effective and direct way to support us and what we're doing here at OTB and at Underground Sports as a whole. So go get your merch. Tag us in it when you get it. And this has been episode number 260 of the allegedly award-nominated, honorably mentioned, number 9 ranked NCAA, viewable on YouTube, official lacrosse podcast on the Underground Sports Philadelphia Podcast Network, Outside the Box podcast, here on Underground Anniversary Week. For Deej, I'm KB. Enjoy the NLL this week. Enjoy the big game on Sunday. Go Birds! And we'll see you guys next week. Peace.